The hall was bright, filled with soft golden lights, and the audience waited quietly for the most important moment of the evening. It was the charity event of the year, and people from all across the city had gathered to hear one man speak, Adrian Cole, one of the youngest billionaires in the world. Cameras were set, reporters held their microphones ready, and the stage looked beautiful with flowers and a giant screen behind him. Everyone knew Adrian was famous for helping the poor, and today he planned to announce something big. Adrian walked onto the stage with a confident smile. He wore a simple black suit, but he still looked powerful and respected. When he lifted the microphone, the crowd clapped loudly. Some people even stood up to show their respect. Adrian thanked them and began his speech in a calm, deep voice. He talked about his hard childhood, his struggle, and how kindness changed his life. The audience listened closely. But then, something unusual happened. From the side of the hall, a small figure slowly walked forward. She couldn't be more than 7 years old. Her dress was simple, her shoes were old, and her hair was tied back loosely. She held a small notebook close to her chest as if it was something precious. At first, no one noticed her. The hall was too big, and the lights were too bright. But soon, a few people began to whisper, wondering why a child was walking toward the stage. One of the security guards saw her and quickly stepped forward. He bent down and asked her where she was going, but the girl whispered something so soft that only he could hear it. His eyes suddenly softened. Instead of stopping her, he stepped aside. Now the audience began to notice. Who is she? What is she doing? Where is her family? Whispers spread across the room. The cameras turned in her direction. Reporters leaned forward. Something about her slow steps and serious face made the moment suddenly heavy with mystery. Adrian stopped speaking when he saw the movement. He blinked, confused, watching the tiny girl walk closer and closer until she reached the foot of the stage. The giant room fell completely silent. Even the air felt still. The little girl looked up at him with big, fearful eyes. She swallowed hard, then gathered her courage. With small, trembling hands, she lifted her notebook and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Sir, I know the truth about you." A loud gasp moved through the crowd. People exchanged shocked looks. Some thought the girl was mistaken. Others thought she might say something dangerous or accuse Adrian of something terrible. A billionaire on stage, a child interrupting him. This could become a huge scandal. Adrian felt his heart drop for a moment. What truth was she talking about? He did not recognize her. He didn't know her name, her face, or why she was here. But the pain and fear in her voice made him pause. He walked closer to the edge of the stage and slowly knelt down so he could face her at eye level. "What is your name?" he asked gently. The girl wiped her eyes and whispered, "My name is Maya." Her voice was small but carried across the silent hall. The audience leaned forward, hanging on every second. Adrian noticed her clothes were worn out, and her shoes looked like they were too old for her feet. His heart softened. "How did you get here, Maya?" he asked softly. She opened her notebook and clutched it tightly. "I came because I have to tell you something. Something important." The room grew even quieter. People didn't blink. They didn't breathe. Even the reporters forgot their cameras. Adrian took a slow breath. Something inside him told him this moment mattered. "It's all right," he said kindly. "You can tell me." Maya looked behind her nervously, then back at him. Her hands shook so hard that her notebook almost fell. She took a step closer and whispered, but everyone still heard it. "It's about my mother." "And you." A sharp wave of shock passed through the audience. Even Adrian felt his chest tighten. About her mother? What could this little girl possibly know? Maya wiped her tears and continued, her voice cracking. "My mother, she told me a story. She told me something she never told anyone else. And she said I should tell you if something happened." Adrian's eyes softened. "Is she okay?" Maya shook her head slowly. The audience's hearts sank at the sight. Her shoulders trembled as she held back sobs. I didn't want to come on stage, but I had to. You need to know the truth. Her words echoed in the hall, filled with confusion, fear, and an unexplained connection. Adrian extended his hand slowly. Come up here, he said gently. Come tell me. Everyone watched in complete silence as the little girl placed her small hand in his. No one knew it yet. But the truth she carried would soon change everything. It would stop the world. It would rewrite the billionaire's story. And it would leave every single person in that hall speechless. Adrian gently guided Maya onto the stage, his hand steady but his heart beating fast. The crowd watched with wide eyes, unsure what would happen next. This was supposed to be a peaceful charity event, not a moment filled with mystery and tension. Yet here they all were, waiting for the little girl's next words. Adrian led her toward the main microphone. The lights felt too bright, and Maya blinked several times, trying to adjust. Her tiny fingers clutched her notebook tightly, as if it contained her entire world inside. Adrian leaned down beside her. You said you know the truth about me, he said softly. Can you explain? Maya swallowed nervously. The microphone caught the quiet sound, making the entire hall feel even more silent. She looked at the crowd, hundreds of adults staring at her, some with confusion, some with worry, some with impatience. She looked back at Adrian. I didn't come to make trouble, she whispered. I came because my mother asked me to. Her voice cracked on the last words. Adrian's expression softened. Your mother sent you here? He asked, surprised. Maya nodded. She said you needed to know something. Something she hid for a long time. Adrian frowned gently. Why did she hide it? Maya hesitated. Her lips trembled as she spoke. Because she didn't want anyone to think she wanted money, or fame, or anything from you. The audience exchanged confused looks. What connection could this child's mother have with one of the world's most powerful men? A reporter whispered to another. Did he know the girl's family? No idea, the second whispered back. But Adrian heard none of the whispers. His attention was fully on Maya. He sat on the edge of the stage so he didn't tower above her. Maya, he said, keeping his voice calm, tell me slowly. I'm listening. Her eyes filled with tears again. She opened her notebook, but her hands were shaking too much to read. Adrian gently steadied the notebook with his own hand. It's all right, he whispered. You can take your time. The audience waited. Finally, Maya took a deep breath. My mother works in one of your buildings, she said. She cleans the floors at night. Adrian blinked. A cleaner? He asked softly. Yes, Maya said with a nod. She works very hard. She always comes home tired. She always tries to smile, but I can tell she hides her pain. People in the audience began to nod, empathizing with the unseen struggles of workers who keep big buildings clean. What does this have to do with me? Adrian asked gently, still lost in confusion. Maya looked down at her notebook again. I didn't understand it either, she whispered. But one day, when she got very sick, she told me something. Something she said she never told anyone before. The hall became so silent that even the sound of someone breathing felt loud. My mother told me, Maya continued slowly, that once many years ago, before you became rich and famous, she found a young man on the street. Adrian felt a strange twist in his stomach. Maya continued, he was hungry. He had no money. He had no home. He looked like he had lost everything. The billionaire's eyes widened just slightly. My mother said she couldn't walk past him, Maya said, so she took him to a small cafe. She bought him food. She sat with him. She gave him warm tea. The audience listened without blinking. She said that young man cried, Maya whispered, because no one else had shown him kindness. Several people in the hall covered their mouths in shock. A few already guessed what Maya was about to say, but Adrian sat frozen. His mind raced back through memories he tried so hard to forget. Memories of sleeping on benches. Memories of hunger so sharp it hurt. Memories of a kind woman who bought him food when he had nothing. Maya looked up at him, eyes full of truth. That young man. Was you, Mr. Adrian? A wave of gasps swept through the audience. Even the journalists forgot to write. Cameraman leaned forward, zooming in on Adrian's stunned face. Adrian didn't speak. He couldn't. His chest tightened as he remembered sitting in a small cafe, holding a warm cup of tea with trembling hands. A woman with gentle eyes had sat across from him. She never asked for his name. She never judged him. She simply helped. I remember, Adrian whispered, almost to himself. Maya nodded quickly. My mother said you looked lost. She said she felt something in her heart when she saw you. She didn't know you would become a billionaire one day. She didn't want anything from you. The billionaire slowly exhaled, shocked to the core. But why didn't she find me? Adrian whispered. Why didn't she come to me all these years? Maya lowered her head. She said she didn't want to disturb your life. She thought you forgot about her. Adrian's heart broke right there on stage. And now? He whispered. Maya's lip trembled again. Now? She is sick, very sick, and she told me, if something happened to her, I should find you. I should tell you the truth. The crowd felt a wave of emotion. Adrian felt his throat tighten painfully. He placed a gentle hand on Maya's shoulder. What is your mother's name? He asked softly. Maya wiped her eyes and said the name in a trembling voice. Adrian recognized it instantly. Everything inside him changed in that moment. He stood up slowly, holding Maya's hand tightly. The truth was out, and nothing would ever be the same again. The hall remained silent as Adrian stood there holding Maya's small hand. Every person in the audience felt something shift inside the room. The billionaire, who always spoke with confidence and calm, suddenly looked shaken, almost vulnerable. Maya's revelation had opened old memories he kept locked deep inside his heart. Adrian swallowed hard and gently moved the microphone closer to Maya. Tell me everything, he whispered. His voice was soft, filled with a kindness he rarely showed in public. Maya nodded, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. She opened her notebook again. This time her hands were steadier, as if she had gathered courage from Adrian's gentle tone. She flipped to the first page. The paper was a bit wrinkled, the handwriting small and shaky, written by a child with a big responsibility. My mother told me, Maya began quietly, that she met you on the coldest night of the year. She was walking home from work. It was very late. She saw you sitting outside a shop. You were shivering. Adrian breathed in deeply. The memory returned like a film in slow motion. You didn't wear a jacket, Maya continued. Your clothes were thin. You looked tired and hungry. You looked like you had lost everything. People in the audience shifted, their expressions growing soft. Some felt tears in their eyes. It was difficult to imagine a billionaire ever being so helpless, but now the truth stood in front of them. My mother didn't know who you were, Maya said. She only knew you needed help, so she came to you. She asked if you were okay. Adrian blinked slowly. I remember, he whispered. Maya nodded. She said you were too weak to talk. You just nodded. So she helped you stand. She took you to the little cafe on the corner of 5th Street. She paid for your food. You ate slowly, like you hadn't eaten in days. A woman in the audience covered her mouth. A man wiped his eyes. Even the organizers, who usually stayed strict and professional, felt moved. Maya turned another page in her notebook. She told me that when you finished eating, you looked at her with tears in your eyes. You said, "Thank you. You saved me." Adrian closed his eyes for a moment. Those words echoed from years long gone. He had been young, lost, and directionless. That simple moment of kindness had helped him believe life could still get better. My mother said she left you money for breakfast too, Maya added. She told you to stay strong. She told you that life changes if you keep going. Adrian felt a sharp ache in his heart. She did, he whispered, remembering the small envelope she left behind. She really did, Maya continued. She said she went back the next night to check on you. But you were gone. The billionaire nodded. That part he remembered well. He had walked miles that morning, searching for jobs, refusing to give up. My mother said she always wondered what happened to you, Maya said. She hoped you found a good life. She hoped that her small help changed something, but she never expected you to become you. The audience softly chuckled with emotion. It was a strange, beautiful moment full of warmth. Maya looked up at Adrian again. She didn't tell anyone. Not even me. She never wanted people to think she helped you for money or attention. Adrian felt tears forming in his eyes. He tried to blink them away, but the emotions were too strong. A billionaire was standing on stage, crying quietly because of a memory he never expected to meet again. Maya flipped more pages. She told me she prayed for you every night for many years. She wanted you to be safe, to be happy, to have success. She told me that kindness is like a seed. You plant it once, and it grows forever. People in the hall nodded emotionally. Then Maya's voice softened. But my mother didn't know you were the billionaire she sees on TV. She didn't know until she saw one of your interviews. When she heard your name, she recognized your face. Adrian looked up sharply. When did she realize? 2 years ago, Maya said. But she was too shy to write to you. She said you had a big life now. She didn't want to disturb your world. Adrian felt a sting in his heart. She never disturbed my world, he said softly. She helped me build it. Maya pressed her lips together. Tears formed again. But then she became sick, and she was afraid she wouldn't get the chance to tell you. She was afraid her story would disappear. Adrian placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. So she sent you? Maya nodded. She told me that if anything happened to her, I must find you and tell you the truth. She said it was important. She said you deserved to know. The audience sat frozen, overwhelmed. Some wiped tears. Some whispered prayers. Some simply stared, stunned by the depth of kindness revealed by a little girl. Maya looked down and whispered. She said kindness should never stay hidden. Adrian stood slowly, looking at the crowd. Then back at Maya. Your mother didn't just help a stranger, he said, voice trembling. She saved a life. She saved my life. Maya looked up at him, eyes full of hope and fear. What happens now? She whispered. Adrian took a deep breath, his decision already clear in his heart. Now, he said softly, we go to your mother. The hall felt heavier than ever, filled with a deep silence that wrapped around every person present. Adrian stood on the stage, still holding Maya's small hand. His heart beat faster, but not from fear. This time, it was from something deeper, something he could not yet name. The truth he heard from Maya felt unreal, yet every memory inside him whispered that it was real. He faced the audience for a moment. Many people had tears in their eyes. Some placed their hands over their hearts. Some nodded at him, silently encouraging him. A billionaire crying on stage was rare, but this wasn't weakness. This was humanity. Adrian turned back to Maya and gently asked, Maya, can you tell me more about that night? The night she helped me? Maya opened her notebook again. The next pages were filled with words written with great care, as if her mother had told her every detail slowly, making sure her daughter remembered. She said, Maya began softly, you looked like you had not spoken to anyone for days. She said your eyes looked tired. She could tell you were holding too much pain inside. Adrian nodded slowly. That time in his life had been dark. No food, no job, no hope. He had thought the world forgot him. Maya continued. She said when she gave you food, you didn't eat immediately. You kept looking at her like you couldn't believe she was real. Like you couldn't believe someone cared. Adrian's eyes grew wet again. The memory was so clear now it hurt. She was the first person who showed me kindness, he whispered. Maya's voice softened more. She also told me. She almost didn't stop that night. She was tired. It was late. She had worked a long shift. Her feet hurt. But when she saw you, something in her heart told her to help. The audience felt a wave of emotion. One choice. One moment. One act of kindness. It changed a life forever. Adrian took a deep breath. "Your mother saved me," he said to Maya. "But why didn't she let me find her? Why didn't she tell me?" Maya turned the page again. "She said she always worried that if people knew she helped you, they would think she wanted something. She said she didn't want to take anything from you. She just wanted you to survive." Adrian closed his eyes for a moment. He felt guilt. So many people had helped him after he became rich. Dozens of people offered support, advice, and kindness once the money came. But before it all, only one woman had helped him with nothing to gain. "Did she ever try to find me?" he asked softly. Maya shook her head. "She said you deserved to live freely. She was afraid that if she contacted you, it might cause trouble in your new life. She never wanted to disturb your journey." Adrian's throat tightened. "She never disturbed me," he whispered. "She inspired me." Then Maya suddenly turned to the last pages of the notebook. Her fingers ran across the lines as if deciding which part to say first. "She also told me something else. Something she said you should know." Maya took a deep breath. "She said that when she left you food money, she wrote a tiny note. She wrote, 'One day you will help others the same way.'" Adrian froze. He remembered that note. He had kept it for years, folded inside his wallet, until it wore out completely. He had built his entire charity life on those words. That note. Adrian whispered, trembling. "I kept it. Your mother doesn't know. But I built my first charity program because of her words." Maya gasped softly. "Really?" "Yes," he said, voice breaking. "Everything I built, everything people praise me for, started because your mother believed in me." A few people in the audience couldn't stop their tears now. The hall was no longer a charity event. It had become a sacred place of truth and gratitude. But Maya wasn't finished. She wiped her eyes, then gently opened a small flap at the back of her notebook. Inside it was an old photograph, faded, folded many times, almost tearing at the edges. She held it out toward Adrian. "My mother kept this," she whispered. "She said you dropped it that night when she helped you." Adrian slowly reached for it, his fingers trembling. When he opened the picture, he felt a sharp shock in his chest. It was a photo of him when he was younger. A passport-style picture he carried when searching for jobs. He had lost it years ago. He thought it blew away in the wind. But no, her mother had kept it safe. For years, she had kept a piece of him. Adrian's lips shook. The audience held their breath. "Maya," he whispered, "your mother kept this all this time?" Maya nodded. "She said you reminded her of my uncle. She couldn't stop thinking about whether you survived." Adrian placed a hand over his heart. "She cared about me, even when she didn't know who I became." Maya took a shaky breath. "And now, she needs you." The words hit harder than anything else. Adrian straightened. His voice was gentle but strong. "Then I will go to her, right now. She helped me when I had nothing. I will help her with everything I have." Maya's eyes filled with relief and hope. The billionaire turned to the shocked audience. "What she revealed today," he said, "is not just my past. It's a reminder that kindness never disappears." And in that moment, every person understood that this story was bigger than a billionaire, bigger than a charity event, bigger than a memory. It was a truth that left the world silent. The hall remained filled with soft murmurs as Adrian stood silently on the stage, the old photograph trembling in his hand. He looked at the picture again, as if trying to make sure it was real. To him, it wasn't just a picture. It was a memory he thought he had lost forever, a memory of the hardest time in his life. And now it had returned through a little girl who stood bravely beside him. Maya looked up at him, her eyes red from crying, her small fingers gripping her notebook. She wasn't just a child anymore in that moment. She was the voice of a mother who had carried a secret for years. Adrian gently wiped his face and crouched down so he could speak to her directly. Maya, he said with a soft voice, you're very brave to come here alone. She shook her head. I wasn't brave, she whispered. I was scared. But I had to do it. I promised my mother. Adrian felt his heart twist. Tell me, he said gently, how is she now? Maya looked down. Her voice was small. She is very sick. She tries to smile, but I can see she is in pain. She doesn't tell me everything because she doesn't want me to worry. The audience grew silent again. A few people placed hands on their chests, tears forming in their eyes. I'm sorry, Maya, Adrian whispered. I didn't know. I had no idea. Maya pressed her lips together, trying not to cry. Mother didn't want you to know, she said. She said you had your own life. You were busy helping the world. She didn't want to be a burden. Adrian's heart ached. She was never a burden, he whispered. She saved me. She gave me hope. Maya looked up at him with trembling eyes. She said she didn't do anything special, the girl whispered. She said she only did what any good person should do. Adrian shook his head slowly. She changed my entire life. One kind act can change everything. The audience listened closely. Some wiped away tears. Some nodded deeply, touched by the truth in his words. Maya took a small breath and opened her notebook again. There were only a few pages left, pages she had been afraid to read, but had promised her mother she would share. She said, Maya continued softly, that you were one of the kindest men she ever met. Even when you were suffering. Adrian looked surprised. Kind? I was broken back then. Maya nodded gently. She said you thanked her again and again. Even when you were shaking from cold. She said your voice was weak, but your heart was strong. Adrian felt tears fall again, silently. And she said, Maya continued, that she knew you would become someone good one day. She didn't know you would be rich or famous. She just knew your heart was good. The billionaire closed his eyes as her words sank deeper into him. For years he wondered why he didn't give up back then. Why something inside him kept pushing him forward. Now he knew it was because someone believed in him. Someone he never got to thank. Someone whose kindness had been quiet, hidden. Until today. Maya suddenly closed the notebook and hugged it to her chest. Her shoulders trembled. I told her I would find you, she whispered through tears. I told her you would remember her. I told her you wouldn't forget the truth. Adrian immediately leaned closer. Maya, he said softly, you did the right thing. I'm so proud of you. She sniffled. Mother told me that I should never expect anything people I help. She said kindness is a gift we give, without asking for anything back. Adrian nodded slowly. Your mother is wise. And she lives with a heart full of gold. Maya wiped her cheeks again. But she is tired now, she whispered. I see her trying to stand, trying to smile, trying to hide the pain. And every night she says, I hope that boy is living a good life. Maya gulped. She still calls you that boy. A soft emotional laugh flowed through the audience. Even Adrian let out a gentle smile through his tears. Maya continued, voice trembling with fear and hope. She wanted me to tell you. Before it was too late. Adrian felt those words like a punch. Too late. His heart raced. His breath grew thin. He looked at Maya, then at the audience, then at the photograph again. Maya, he said, voice firm but gentle. I need to know something. She looked up nervously. What is it? Where is your mother now? Maya took a shaky breath. She's in the hospital. In the city. She got worse last week. Her voice broke again. She told me. She might not have much time. Adrian felt something tighten inside him, a mix of fear, regret, and urgency. He stood up suddenly, still holding Maya's hand. We are going to her, he said firmly. Right now, the audience gasped. Maya stared at him with wide eyes. Right now? Yes, he said without hesitation. Your mother gave me hope when I had nothing. Now it's my turn to help her with everything I can. Her eyes filled with relief, deep, trembling relief, and she burst into tears, throwing her small arms around him. Adrian hugged her gently, careful not to overwhelm her. The cameras captured the emotional moment, and the world would soon see a billionaire drop everything, just to repay one quiet act of kindness that changed his life forever. As soon as Adrian announced, "We are going to her right now," the entire hall reacted with a shock that rippled through every seat. People gasped, some stood up, and others placed hands over their hearts. No one expected a billionaire, one of the busiest, most respected men in the world, to suddenly abandon his grand event just to visit one humble woman in a hospital. But Adrian didn't care about schedules, cameras, or reporters. He cared about the truth he had just discovered. He gently held Maya's hand and helped her walk off the stage. Reporters tried to rush forward, microphones trembling in their hands. "Mr. Adrian, where are you going? Is everything all right? Who is the girl? What happened?" But Adrian didn't stop. His eyes were focused, determined, emotional. Maya walked beside him, still sniffling but holding tight to his hand, as if she finally felt safe after days of fear. The security team quickly created a path for them. People stepped aside with respect, some even bowing their heads. Many wiped away tears, and some whispered prayers for Maya's mother as they watched the little girl walk bravely beside a billionaire. One woman in the audience whispered, "He's not just rich, he's human." "Truly human," another man said softly. "I never knew kindness could come back like this." After so many years, as they reached the exit door, Adrian paused and turned around. Cameras flashed, recording every second. His expression was calm but filled with deep emotion. He raised his voice, speaking not only to the crowd, but to the world that would watch this moment later. "Today, I learned that the biggest heroes are not the ones on stages, but the quiet people who help others without expecting anything back." The hall fell silent again. He continued, "Years ago, one woman helped me when everyone else ignored me. Today, I learned she never told anyone. She never asked for anything. She simply helped a stranger." People nodded, tears running down their faces. Adrian looked down at Maya, then back at the crowd. "She saved my life, and now I will save hers." A wave of applause exploded through the hall. Loud, emotional, powerful applause that shook the room. Some people stood up. Others clapped with tears on their cheeks. Even the camera crew, used to staying neutral, felt their hearts break and rebuild at the same time. Maya looked at the crowd with wide eyes. For the first time, she wasn't scared. She felt something warm inside her. Hope. Real hope. A reporter shouted softly, "Mr. Adrian, what will you do for her?" Adrian answered immediately, "Everything. Everything I can." The hall erupted with another round of applause. But Adrian didn't wait for more questions. He gently guided Maya outside. As they walked through the doors, the cold evening air touched their faces. The billionaire's black car waited outside, headlights glowing. When the door opened, Maya stopped suddenly, her hand trembling again. Adrian knelt beside her. "What's wrong?" She bit her lip. I don't want to get in trouble. I didn't tell the hospital I was leaving. I didn't think this far." Adrian smiled gently. "You're not in trouble, Maya. You did the bravest thing a child could ever do. You fought for your mother." He placed a soft hand over hers. "Your mother would be proud." Maya's eyes filled with fresh tears, not of fear this time, but relief. They climbed into the car. Adrian sat beside her, not in the front seat like usual. He wanted her to feel safe. The car began to move, guided by security cars in front and behind, making the drive fast and smooth. As they passed through the city, Maya stared out the window. Lights blurred softly as tears rolled down her cheeks. Adrian watched her gently. "Are you scared?" he asked softly. Maya shook her head. "No. I just hope we're not too late." Her words hit Adrian like a stone. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We won't be," he whispered, even though he wasn't sure. That fear lived in his own heart now. They reached the hospital. Nurses looked surprised when they saw Adrian Cole walk through the entrance with a little girl holding his hand. Some whispered, recognizing him. Others quickly guided them to the right ward. As they walked through the hallway, Maya's breath grew faster. Her steps became smaller. The closer they got, the more her fear grew. Adrian bent down beside her. "I'm right here. You don't have to be scared." She nodded slowly, gripping his hand harder. Finally, they reached the door. A soft beep echoed from inside. Machines hummed. The hallway felt cold, quiet, heavy. Maya lifted her trembling hand toward the door handle. Adrian gently placed his hand over hers. "Let's go in together," he whispered. And then they opened the door. The sight inside would change both of their lives forever. The hospital room was quiet, too quiet. Only the soft beep of the heart monitor broke the stillness. Maya's mother lay on the bed, her face pale, her breathing slow and weak. Her hands were thin, and the blanket barely rose with each breath. When Maya stepped inside, her small body froze. Her heart felt like it stopped for a moment. She whispered softly, "Mom." Her mother slowly opened her eyes. At first, her tired gaze only saw her daughter. A faint, weak smile formed on her lips. "Maya, you came back." Then her eyes moved, and she saw Adrian standing behind her daughter. Her breath caught, her lips trembled. She blinked hard to make sure she wasn't dreaming. The boy she helped many years ago, the boy she thought she would never see again, the boy she prayed for every night was now standing in her hospital room, not as a lost young man, but as one of the world's most powerful billionaires. Her voice cracked as she whispered, It's you." Adrian stepped forward slowly, feeling an emotion so strong it almost broke him. He reached her bedside and gently took her fragile hand in both of his. "Yes," he whispered, voice full of emotion. "It's me. I came to thank you." She tried to sit up, but she was too weak. Adrian carefully helped her, placing a pillow behind her back. "I never wanted you to know," she said with weak breaths. "I didn't help you to be repaid." Adrian shook his head softly. "But you deserve to be thanked. You deserve to be cared for." Tears slipped from the corners of her eyes. She looked up at him, her voice shaking. "You were just a boy, lost, scared. And I only gave you a meal." Adrian held her hand tighter. "You gave me more than a meal. You gave me hope. You gave me strength. You made me believe I could live another day." Maya watched them with tears running down her cheeks. She had never seen her mother cry like this, not even during the hardest days. Her mother looked at her and whispered, "You brought him here." "My brave girl." Maya nodded and rushed into her mother's arms carefully, hugging her with all her strength. "I promised you," she cried. "I promised I would find him." Her mother stroked her back gently. "And you did. You kept your promise, Maya." Adrian watched them with soft eyes, feeling his heart break and heal at the same time. He gently waited until Maya's mother looked at him again. Her eyes were tired, but filled with warmth. "I watched you on TV sometimes," she whispered, "helping people, changing lives. And I always wondered if you were the same boy I met." Adrian smiled sadly. "Everything I did, every charity, every program, every donation, all started because of you. You planted the first seed." Her breath trembled. "I'm happy. I'm so happy to know you are safe. And that you lived a good life." Adrian leaned closer and spoke with a seriousness that made her eyes widen. "And now I want to give you a good life too. Starting today, everything you need, medicine, treatment, care, I will provide it. You will not be alone again." She shook her head weakly, overwhelmed. "I can't accept that. I don't want to trouble you." Adrian placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You didn't trouble me when I had nothing. Now you deserve everything I can give." Her lips trembled. She looked at Maya, then at Adrian, and whispered with a soft smile, "Thank you for remembering me." Adrian blinked away his tears. "I could never forget you." The room fell quiet as Maya curled beside her mother. and Adrian sat at the bedside, still holding her hand. Minutes passed in peaceful silence. Then a nurse entered the room. She gasped quietly when she realized who was inside, but quickly regained herself. She checked the machines and whispered, "Her condition is serious, but she is stable. She needs treatment soon." Adrian nodded firmly. "Do everything needed. Money is not a problem." The nurse nodded with gratitude and rushed out to prepare. Maya's mother looked at him again, this time with a mixture of hope and disbelief. "I never thought life would bring us together again." Adrian smiled gently. "Life didn't bring us together. Kindness did." Her eyes softened, shining with tears one last time. "You were always meant to be someone great," she whispered. Adrian squeezed her hand. "Because you believed in me." She closed her eyes slowly, resting peacefully, comforted by her daughter's touch and Adrian's presence. Maya looked at Adrian with teary eyes. "Will she be okay?" Adrian knelt and held her shoulders gently. "Yes," he promised. "I will make sure she gets the best care. Your mother saved my life. And now it's my turn to save hers." Maya hugged him tightly. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Adrian hugged her back softly. "No, Maya. Thank you for finding me." The next morning, the story spread across the world. News channels showed the emotional footage from the event. Millions watched, cried, and learned about the woman whose quiet act of kindness changed a billionaire's life. Adrian created a new charity program in her name, one that focused on helping people who worked hard but needed support, just like she once did. And Maya's mother began her road to recovery. Because kindness that is given in silence always finds a way to return, louder, brighter, and stronger than anyone expects.